Here with more insight, former FBI agent Stuart Kaplan, former FBI investigator Bill Daly, and Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Bill Daly, start with you.
Yeah, certainly, Sean, an extremely compelling statement by the family members there. And just like to kind of start off by echoing some of the comments made earlier, and just giving some of my experience in the private sector, more in international incidents like this, is that it's not that unusual that if someone is taken, and I believe in this case that the police, the FBI, as well as the family, have some sense that there could be some legitimacy. I say some sense. Obviously, they're asking for kind of a proof of life. If they received anything at all, it may have been just even at best proof of possession, as we would call it. But I think in this case, the fact that it took a few days for these notes to arrive, whether electronically or however, we're not too sure exactly how they arrived, but it's not that unusual in actually international cases. I'm not suggesting this is international, but some of them require them to take the individual, the victim, to a safe location. So give them some distance, give them some time, give them some way to be able to communicate several days later. So it's not that unusual that something like this could happen. So I think that there are a couple of things adding up here that suggest that authorities believe there's some, at least a well-intentioned kind of communication out to the kidnappers, although I'm quite surprised that if, in fact, those notes were received the way we're suspecting they were received, there was no other way that they would be able to communicate as opposed to making just a general public statement.
Yeah, there is an urgency because Savannah's mother, Nancy, does need these medications. Stuart, let me go to you. And can we interpret this statement that we are ready to talk? We've heard the reports about a ransom letter, but we live in a world where voices, images are easily manipulated. We need to know without a doubt she is alive and that you have her. Now, you're the law enforcement expert. I'll ask you, that level of urgency, I interpret that law enforcement must have a pretty strong belief that kidnapping, ransom is a very strong possibility here.
Yeah, to your point, Sean, there's no doubt that the FBI believes that there is enough credibility that this evening there was a very measured statement collectively by the family. What I think is very unique and unprecedented, for the first time, the FBI, in coordination with other partners, utilized Instagram. I'm telling you here tonight, Sean, this case will be solved, but it will be as a result of technology that has been utilized by the FBI in very special circumstances with respect to being able to go back and basically put back a timeline with respect to using these data points with pinpoint accuracy. It is by no coincidence that the choice or the mode of communicating with this person or these people and the fact that it was done via Instagram was calculated with respect to being utilized as a potential way to surveil or uncover or to detect any possible individuals who may have some further information.
Gregg Jarrett, you have covered a lot of cases with us here on this show, and you heard that statement from the family. We know the facts leading up to it. I think Nancy Grace's analysis was dead on. If they wanted to kill her or harm her, they would have done that right there in that house. And you've got to give a lot of credibility to the idea that what was sent to TMZ and another news outlet, obviously law enforcement has taken that very seriously. How do you see it at this point? There's a certain urgency. This woman, she's 84. She's not in the best health. She needs her medication.
Well, first of all, you could feel the agony and the torment and the desperation in the voices and faces of the children. And it was truly heart-wrenching. And I'm glad that the public at large can see that. Maybe it can motivate movement in the case. And I agree with you, Sean. I think the FBI, local law enforcement are taking the ransom demands at face value, although there is always a natural skepticism. The report by TMZ, it received a ransom note demanding Bitcoin, a level of sophistication, I agree. Another note apparently sent to the Tucson ABC local station. And there's always the possibility that some greedy, sick, twisted person unconnected to Nancy Guthrie is trying to take advantage of a tragedy by extorting money under false pretenses. So, I think they're looking at both possibilities here. I'm sure that the statement by the children, Savannah in particular, the use of the language of manipulated voices and images was quite deliberate and probably inserted there by law enforcement, the FBI. Sadly, it does happen in high publicity kidnappings that, people try to take advantage and make money out of it. It is sad, but it happens. The other report that law enforcement returned to the home of the daughter, Annie, and her husband to question them yet again, that is not unusual. After all, they were believed to be the last ones to see her when they dropped Nancy off at the home the night before. So several rounds of questioning is quite typical. I know that you've raised the issue of other cameras in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, it is a very difficult case to solve because that location is so remote and secluded, where other residents are spread out and the fields of vision are obstructed by a great deal of foliage. There's no street lighting at night whatsoever. So it would have been very difficult for anybody to see or hear anything in the darkness of the night. I was shocked that they had cleared that crime scene. So now they are revisiting, sealing it off. It tells us a couple of things. First, they want to redouble their efforts in the search for clues and evidence that may have been missed. But it also suggests to me that they're really at a loss. They have no other viable leads. You've got blood drops leading away from the home, disabled doorbell cameras, you pointed out, Sean, forced entries, all point to a kidnapping. I don't think it's random. It looks targeted to me.
Does it seem like ransom to you, Greg?
Yeah. It does. If it's targeted, there has to be a motive. The motive is you just don't take an 84-year-old woman without an underlying reason, and the obvious reason would be ransom.
Ransom, famous, daughter. It could be a lot of factors here. Certainly, I think everyone is pretty close to where this is likely going to end up. We just pray she ends up alive and okay and back in her family's arms. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.